Hi there, Thomas Collins here from AuditSnap, and in this video we're going to focus on snag inspections using a template workflow. This is the second video of two. You may have seen the first video where we covered snag inspection using an unstructured and ad hoc workflow on AuditSnap. Both are thoroughly usable. This one has a bit more structure to it, and using the template is more suitable where you know the building type that you're going to inspect. For example, the example we're going to use is a one-bedroom apartment, but it could just so easily be for a three-bedroom semi or a villa or a two-bedroom apartment, and we can build templates on AuditSnap to match each of those different building types. And so that's quite easily done as well. But for now, let's just take you through the workflow, what it would look like, and how you go from end to end building out your inspection using AuditSnap. So let's go and open up AuditSnap and see what that looks like. So we're going to open up on the desktop here. It'll look something like this. Of course, if you're on your smart device, it would probably look something a little bit more like this. But let's go ahead and open in the desktop version and see what the process flow looks like. First of all, the templates exist in the templates tab. And we've got different templates in here. This is the one-bedroom apartment template. So let's just take a quick look at that. First of all, the category it's under is snag list and report category. We've got a brief description here. We can add in some predetermined content in here, and that might be your methodology, introduction, about your business, disclaimers, or whatever you feel appropriate. And that will drop into every single report that you use this template in. And we can add in multiple content blocks. Next, we've got sections, and each section contains one or more questions or elements that require a response. It might be a checkbox, it might be some text commentary, it might be an image, it might be a number, it might be a date, etc. And so essentially we build out our template to include all of the things that we need covered in our inspection. Because this is a snag list, we have different locations within the building type. So this is a one-bedroom apartment, so we'll have an entrance and a hallway. We'll have a kitchen, we'll have a bathroom, we'll have a bedroom, etc. You know, all of these areas. And then for each of those areas, you're going to have a certain amount of content that you're going to want to put in there. Okay? So this is the one we've pre-built. It's very easy to build these, and we can help you build them if you want to get started. But let's have a look at what the inspection workflow would look like. So we arrive on our home page here, and we want to start the new inspection. So we'll give it a title first and foremost, and let's call this Snag 104. And this would be a templated inspection. So we're going through the second workflow here, not without a template, but with a workspace template. And then we get to choose which template we're going to use. We've got our one-bedroom apartment snag template here. We can have 10, 20, however many inspection templates that we might routinely use. We can build templates for all of them and have them sitting in here waiting to be used by you or anybody else in your workspace, right? So we'd choose that, give it a location. You can even add GPS location if you wish. You can give it a client if you wish, a project, and even more detail down here if we unfold. But that's essentially how we'd start our inspection. Now, I have been cooking one from earlier, so we don't have to fill out the whole thing on this video. And so let's just go and take a closer look at that. And this is Snag 102, template-based workflow. And this is what it will look like, right? So we have got now, instead of our ready to build findings or snags, like you have in your ad hoc workflow, we've got predetermined sections that need to be populated, and we'll fold each of these out and answer these as we go through. We also have a real-time update in terms of how well we're responding or populating our template. Currently, we've got 28 out of 55 answers, so we're about halfway there. And we've got this little button here that will take us to the next state, the first unanswered element, right? And so we've populated the first two sections here. Let's look at the next sections. Let's add some snags. So let's do entrance and hallway here. And the first question here is entrance and hallway overview photograph captured. So we can say captured here, but we can also add the photograph itself. So let's just choose a photograph from our gallery, and we don't have full visibility here, but let's just choose one at random and leave that in there as evidence that we've captured our photo. Next question, and these will be kind of repeated for the different locations, is in terms of the condition of the wall, ceiling, floors, tiling, and finishes. And then we've got the condition of doors, wardrobes, built-in joinery, etc. Windows, glazing, locks and seals, all of these things that would be common in each area all need to be answered. So let's answer the first one with defects, because I know we've got a photograph that we can use, and we can now add more details. So we're going to add our evidence here by choosing a photograph. And in every section on the template mode, you can add a note, you can add photographic evidence, or you can raise a snag. Not every photograph is going to require a snag. And we'll see what the snag means there in a minute, right? So first of all, we're just going to add some evidence here, right? We can add a note here, but it would appear from our evidence that we're going to need to, this is a snag. Some action is required here. So we're going to raise a snag, right? Adding a snag is the same as adding a finding, right? Adding a finding, and it's taken us, it's linking it to the section that we've chosen from earlier. So we're going to add the photograph in here just for completion as well. And we're going to choose that same photograph. Obviously, we'll be taking the photograph on our smart device, in real time. So that's loading up there. So that's loaded there. So we can take a closer look at it here, and we can see that the attic door is misaligned. We can annotate it if we wish, of course. It's pretty obvious, but we can annotate that. And let's say that's done. Now we're going to leave a description of the issue. Attic door misaligned, requires replacement. So you can see here that it has added the detail, and it's rewritten the title in terms of what we found, which is a good thing. If you're not happy with it, you can also edit it after. As a snag, we can also give it some more detail, like severity, let's call it medium, additional details. It's already captured it under location, entrance, and hallway, so that's covered. And you can probably call that door, but we could give it any other tag we wish as well. Because this is a snag, we're going to treat it the same way as the ad hoc workflow. In other words, every snag is an action. So we don't need to raise an additional action here. It's already identified as something that needs to be resolved. So we're going to save that finding there. A finding is a snag. So let's go to our next incomplete section here. We can see that we've added a snag here, and it's highlighted. We've added an extra photo here, and there's another photo, or two photos even, on the finding itself. So let's call that done. Let's call these a pass. Perhaps, arguably, that was a door, and we should have put it in here. Either way, snag is raised. Let's call all these a pass, and let's move on to our next section, right? Living and dining area. So we're saying we've already captured a photograph for the living and dining area. Let's add another snag here, and let's capture something from the gallery and see what that looks like. So we have got in the living, it looks like a bedroom. Let's call it here. So here in the living area, we've got what appears to be a damp patch on the wall. So we can annotate that if we wish to identify it. It could just be some discolored paint, but let's identify this as damp patch identified on partition wall in living area. That'll transcribe in real time and drop in here. And you can see also it's picked that up into the title as well. So that's captured as a snag. We'll call that medium, give it some additional details. Location's already been identified. Let's call this surface, save the finding. And that's how we add a snag. You can see now we've got two findings captured here already. So let's continue down through our list here. Let's say that was a defect. We don't need to add a note or any more detail because we've captured enough there. And let's call the rest a pass, and we'll move on. And the bedroom, let's just say that we are going to capture this image of the bedroom. And let's just imagine that everything is fine in there. Pass, pass, pass. Let's call them all pass. Kitchen, we're going to find a few bits and pieces in here. Kitchen overview, let's just call it captured. Worktops, cabinets, and units, right? There's a defect here. In fact, there's more than one defect. So let's capture that. We can capture it as evidence here. So let's just do that. There's a few pictures in here, I believe. There's 1, 2, 3. So we've captured 3 pieces of evidence here for worktops, and those are going to require a snag. So we're capturing one snag here that's going to capture 3 different images. So we've got 1, 2, 3. And here we can leave our description. So you've got some misalignment here, you've got some sealant damage here, you've got some misalignment here. So let's record a description. Several worktops and cabinets in the kitchen require repair for misalignment, including a cabinet door and marble countertop. There's also a sealant issue around the sink that needs to be resolved. So short note there, it will pick it up and drop it into the appropriate space, and it will also capture an automated title. Worktop cabinets require repair, right? Just tweak that title there a little bit. Severity, let's call this high because this looks pretty significant, and we've already captured the location automatically. And let's call this surface, door, and sealant. And we can add new tags in there, of course. So we've saved that one. This is 3 snags in one place. So that's fine. Let's go to our next incomplete. Let's imagine that the rest of the areas in the kitchen are all fine. Let's do the ensuite. And let's do one more tag in here. Let's say tiling, grout, and sealant. I think we've got a photograph in here. So we're going to say there's a defect. You can see the concern is flagged here, and it's asking us to add a snag. Every time we capture a detail, it's asking us to capture a snag. So let's see what we can do in here. And I think there's 2 photographs in here where we've got some grout issues. And again, you can zoom in on these if you wish. You can annotate them if you wish, but let's just leave it at that. Grout incomplete or issues identified in the shower of the ensuite bathroom. So that's picked that up. It's also probably misspelled grout. There's probably my accent, and so it's picked that up incorrectly. And we can edit that, as you can see there after. Severity, let's call it high. Additional details is ensuite bathroom, and let's call it sealant or surface, and save that, right? So now we're looking, we've got 48 out of 55. So we're getting there, we're getting close. So we've got some unanswered questions here. This is for the ensuite bathroom. Let's just say everything else passes. And then we've got our final review here. And you can see in here, so this is some guidance. This is some guidance for the inspector. And this is useful if you've got a team of inspectors or maybe new inspectors who aren't really familiar with this, so you can actually guide them through the whole report. Another thing that's very important is that we can't generate the report until all of these responses are given. So an incomplete, if we have less than 55 responses to our 55 queries, then the report will not be generatable. So let's continue on here. Inaccessible areas. So we're just going to record none here. We're going to record every critical defect includes photo evidence and a corrective action. That's confirmed. Final inspection view complete. Let's call that confirmed. So now we should have a full set, 55, 55. We've got 4 snags or 4 findings. So we are ready to create the inspection report. And this, if we didn't have 55 out of 55, this button would be disabled. So that's a good way to ensure that completion. Right now, the system is taking all of the findings we captured, and it's automatically generating an executive summary and conclusion. So it's telling us where we've done our inspection. It's telling us how many items we've reviewed. It's telling us the quality of our findings and some detail, high-level detail around our defects and our snags. You can see that the completion is full. This is the inspection order, and these are our findings. If we're unhappy with our findings, the content of our findings, or maybe the wording that's used in our findings, we can change that wording here. We can professionalize all this content by clicking this little button here, and it will take our findings and will approve all of it. Just essentially improve the wording. And that might be important if you kind of got some mumbling or some stumbling or some noise in the background or whatever that has maybe messed with the content you're hoping to expose. It's just improved those slightly using AI. So that is essentially our review and polish section. All of this is editable manually. So if we're not happy with the way this is written, we can either rewrite it using this little button here, or we can write it manually. And once we are happy, we can sign that off. Currently, we've got one signature, but we can add a secondary signature as well if that's necessary, and we can just drop that in there. So now we're happy with our content. We've polished as much as we can. Now we need to decide what our report is going to look like. So as you've seen from the previous video, typically for a snag inspection, we will publish a compact report that has the bare minimum information of the things that need to be resolved, right? And that's fine. But sometimes you will be publishing your snag list to a client or a property developer, a homeowner, who knows. And so that's when you might need a little bit extra for your report. But let's have a look and see what the compact report looks like first. So we'll simply toggle to compact. It will show us what it's not including in the report, and then we'll simply download the PDF. So here is our report. I'm going to open that file there now. And as you can see here, we've got a very simplified report. And because we've only captured one finding per area, pages look a little bare, but it would be atypical for you to capture, very few findings, I would imagine. So we've just got one on each page here. Entrance and hallway's got one, as you can see. Living and dining area has got one, as you can see, and the kitchen has got one, and the ensuite has got one. And so, but it's captured the snag number, the title, the severity, and the note that we captured as well. So that's very quickly what the compact report would look like. Now, if we want to have the professional report, which includes all of the detail, we can we'll have a cover page, we'll have our executive summary and metrics, we'll have our results, etc., all that good stuff. We can even update our own cover image. So now, ideally, we'd have the cover image in A4 size and pretty good resolution in order that we can amend that. But here, you could, for example, put a picture of the front of the property. So that's really kind of personalizes the report. And you'll also have your own logo on there, your own font, etc. will go into the report. So let's have a look at what this looks like in the default version. This is where we don't personalize the front page. But like, again, you can put your own touches in terms of cover page onto these reports. So this is what it would look like. This is your default version for a snag list. We've then got our content block here, which is just test block now, but it could be anything, introductions about your business, disclaimers, etc. Here we've got our exec summary and some metrics. And then we start going down through the responses that we've captured, including some of the initial images that we've captured of our different areas. So these, you can see these. This is the entrance and hallway section, living and dining room section, the bedroom section. All of these sections are separated by title here. And then when we get to the snags, we'll see that it's there's one page per snag. We've got larger photographs. It's kind of got more detail. And this will be something that will be more presentable to that different audience, that homeowner type audience, rather than the builder who would be repairing the snags. So that's it. That's how quickly we run end to end through our inspection using the template method. Again, this is a specific example of a one-bedroom apartment. You can have build an inspection template for any type of layout of any type of building very easily. And if you need support, we can help you with that. If you want to learn any more about AuditSnap, please visit us on our website, auditsnap.ai. And other than that, feel free to contact me at any time. Take care now.